Everyone says you need more motivation to achieve your goals. More drive, more discipline, more willpower. But what if that advice is completely wrong? What if the real reason most people fail has nothing to do with motivation at all, and everything to do with one small step they never take? Behavior research on habit formation shows a surprising pattern. People who feel highly motivated often quit, while people who follow a simple planning rule stay consistent. No hype, no extreme discipline. Just a specific, repeatable method. In this video, you'll learn the simple goal execution trick that dramatically increases follow through, why most goal setting fails silently, and how to make your habits actually stick in the real world. Many people assume that the reason they fail at their goals is simply a lack of motivation. They believe if they could feel more inspired, driven, or disciplined, then consistent action would naturally follow. It sounds logical, but research suggests otherwise. A study conducted in Great Britain on exercise habits revealed a surprising pattern. Motivation by itself made almost no difference in actual behavior. Participants who read about the benefits of exercise, understanding how it could improve heart health and reduce disease risk, exercised at nearly the same rate as a control group who received no motivational content at all. The difference became clear only when participants went one step further. Those who were asked to create a detailed plan specifying exactly when and where they would exercise saw dramatically higher follow-through. In fact, 91% of this group exercised at least once that week, more than double the success rate of the other groups. This shows that desire alone is not enough. Even when people understand the benefits and feel motivated, action does not automatically follow. What actually drives consistent behavior is having a concrete plan for execution. Emotions fluctuate constantly. Some mornings, you may wake up feeling energized and ready to tackle your goals, while other days, fatigue, stress, or distractions interfere. A strategy that relies solely on motivation is inherently unstable because emotional states are unpredictable. Without a predefined plan, every decision to act becomes a negotiation, and repeated decisions drain mental energy. People often fail not because they don't want to succeed, but because they leave their behavior to chance, hoping they will feel ready at the right moment. The research highlights a crucial insight: structured clarity, not fleeting motivation, creates results. By determining exactly when and where a habit will occur, you remove the guesswork and reduce reliance on willpower or inspiration. This is what psychologists call an implementation intention, a specific pre-decided plan that ties a desired behavior to a concrete context. For example, saying, "I will exercise for 20 minutes on Monday at 7 a.m. in my living room," is vastly more effective than simply saying, "I want to exercise more." The specificity transforms abstract intentions into executable actions. Once a plan is in place, you no longer need to wait for motivation to strike. The environment itself acts as a trigger, prompting action automatically. Even when unexpected events occur, you can adapt using an "if-then" rule, such as, "I miss my afternoon workout, then I will run first thing tomorrow morning." The key takeaway is that consistent success comes not from wanting more or feeling motivated, but from creating clear, actionable plans that define exactly when and where a behavior will happen. Motivation may start the spark, but clarity carries it forward. By relying on structure instead of fleeting desire, you dramatically increase your chances of following through and achieving your goals. It's easy to assume that simply wanting something is enough to make a change. People often tell themselves, "I want to eat healthier," "I want to exercise more," or "I want to be more productive," thinking that strong desire will naturally lead to consistent action. But research shows that desire alone rarely translates into behavior. In the exercise study from Great Britain, participants who were motivated by information about the benefits of exercise did not perform any better than those who received no motivational content. They understood why exercise was good for them, and they wanted to follow through, yet most failed to take consistent action. The key difference was clarity. Participants who wrote down the exact day, time, and location for their workouts were far more likely to follow through, demonstrating that clear, actionable plans are more important than emotional drive. Understanding exactly what to do, when to do it, and where to do it is what transforms vague intentions into real results. Goals without specificity remain abstract and easily forgotten. When you leave your actions up to chance, you rely on memory and fluctuating motivation, which are both unreliable. Some days you might wake up energized and focused, but other days distractions, fatigue, or unforeseen events will make it difficult to act. By defining the context of a habit in advance, you remove this uncertainty and make your goals more actionable. This process, called an implementation intention, links a desired behavior to a specific time and location. For example, instead of saying, "I will study more," you could say, "I will study Spanish for 20 minutes at 6 p.m. in my bedroom." That small adjustment creates a clear cue that prompts action automatically. Clarity not only increases follow-through but also reduces mental friction. When behavior is pre-planned, there is no need to debate whether or when to act. The decision has already been made, and the environment itself signals the appropriate moment for action. This reduces reliance on willpower, memory, or emotional readiness, all of which fluctuate from day to day. The research shows that people who fail to achieve their goals often have the desire, but they lack the structured plan that turns intention into behavior. Without this clarity, motivation alone is insufficient, and even strong desire is wasted energy. Specific planning also makes it easier to recover when disruptions occur. For example, if you miss your scheduled study session or workout, having a clear plan for the next opportunity allows you to adapt quickly instead of abandoning the habit entirely. The combination of clarity, defined context, and flexibility ensures that your goals are embedded in real-world actions rather than abstract intentions. The takeaway is simple: wanting something is not enough. You need to define it clearly in terms of when, where, and how it will happen. This clarity turns goals into concrete behaviors, ensures consistency, and dramatically increases the likelihood that your efforts will lead to real progress. Desire alone can inspire a start, but structured clarity is what sustains action day after day. A simple detail often makes the difference between people who follow through on their goals and those who fail knowing exactly when and where a behavior will happen. Many people focus on motivation, willpower, or desire, believing that strong feelings will carry them through. The research on exercise habits shows that this is not true. Participants who received motivational material about the benefits of exercise performed at nearly the same level as those in a control group who had no guidance at all. The breakthrough occurred with participants who wrote down the exact day, time, and location of their workout. 91% of this group followed through at least once during the week, more than double the other groups. This demonstrates that the real difference is context. Deciding in advance when and where a habit will occur creates a clear cue for action. Without this, even the strongest desire can fade when faced with distractions, fatigue, or competing priorities. A vague goal like, "I want to exercise more," depends on memory, motivation, and willpower, all of which fluctuate. When the plan is specific, the environment itself triggers the behavior, reducing reliance on temporary motivation. Knowing exactly where and when an action will occur removes uncertainty and makes execution almost automatic. This approach turns abstract intentions into concrete, repeatable behavior. The specificity of time and location matters across nearly all types of habits. If you want to study consistently, deciding the exact chair, room, and hour transforms a vague intention into a real action. If you want to meditate, specifying the minute and location signals your brain that this is the moment for practice. The context becomes a natural prompt. Once the cue is established, the behavior no longer relies on constant decision-making, which reduces the chance of procrastination or forgetfulness. This is why researchers emphasize implementation intentions, a plan that links a behavior to a specific situation. It is not the desire to act that predicts success, but the clarity of the plan and the contextual trigger that accompanies it. Even when unexpected obstacles arise, a pre-decided plan provides a foundation for adjustment. For example, if a meeting runs late and you cannot exercise in the evening, having a scheduled alternative, like waking up early the next day, ensures the habit continues without losing momentum. People who fail often overlook this simple detail, thinking that they can rely on motivation or discipline to carry them through. The evidence shows that a clear, actionable plan with precise timing and location dramatically increases the likelihood of following through. It transforms habits from abstract intentions into reliable behaviors that can persist regardless of emotional state. The takeaway is clear: the critical factor that separates successful goal followers from those who struggle is not desire, inspiration, or motivation, but the careful specification of when and where a habit will occur. This single step makes action predictable, reduces reliance on fluctuating feelings, and allows consistent progress over time. By embedding your habits into specific contexts, you create a system that works for you rather than hoping motivation will strike at the right moment. Success, in this case, is less about willpower and more about precision. Turning a goal into action often fails because people stop at understanding or motivation and never create a concrete plan. Research shows that having a specific plan, not just desire, is what drives consistent behavior. In the exercise study, participants who wrote down exactly when and where they would exercise were far more likely to follow through than those who only received motivational information. This simple act of specifying the timing and location of a behavior creates a structure that allows the goal to exist in the real world instead of remaining an abstract idea. Without this clarity, intentions remain vague and people rely on memory and fleeting motivation to act, which is highly unreliable. Goals without precise execution details are often left to chance. People think, "I'll exercise later," or "I'll study tomorrow," but tomorrow rarely comes as imagined. Life fills with interruptions, distractions, and unexpected events, and without a plan, action is postponed indefinitely. By deciding in advance the exact day, time, and place of a habit, you remove ambiguity and create a cue that triggers the behavior automatically. This is why the participants who completed the planning exercise in the study exercised at more than double the rate of the other groups. They didn't rely on motivation to remind them what to do. The plan itself directed their behavior. A concrete plan also reduces mental friction. Every day, people make dozens of small decisions that drain mental energy, and relying on motivation adds yet another variable that can fail at any moment. Predefining the when and where removes the need to make that decision repeatedly, allowing the habit to run almost automatically. It also provides a framework for handling interruptions or unforeseen circumstances. For example, if a planned workout is missed in the evening, you can adjust to a specific alternative, like exercising the following morning. Similarly, if a study session is disrupted, the plan gives clarity about the next opportunity to complete it. This adaptability ensures that progress continues even when life does not go perfectly. The underlying lesson is simple: many people fail not because they lack motivation or desire, but because their intentions are too vague. Simply wanting to act is not enough. Transforming a goal into a concrete plan with defined timing and location bridges the gap between intention and action. It turns abstract aspirations into predictable, repeatable behavior that can succeed regardless of daily fluctuations in mood, energy, or inspiration. This approach also provides a foundation for further habit formation. Once a behavior is tied to a clear context, repetition strengthens it until it becomes routine. You no longer have to ask yourself whether to act. The environment itself signals what to do and when to do it. Ultimately, success comes from clarity, not constant motivation. Planning the when and where of a habit gives it a tangible presence in your life and dramatically increases the likelihood that you will follow through. By embedding your goals in a real-world context, you make action automatic and create a system that works even when inspiration fades. Desire alone may start the spark, but it is a concrete, well-defined plan that sustains progress day after day. Turning intention into consistent action requires more than just setting a goal or having a clear plan. The research shows that when people predefine exactly when and where they will perform a habit, the environment itself begins to act as a cue, prompting the behavior automatically. Instead of relying on fleeting motivation or willpower, your surroundings signal when it's time to act. For example, in the study on exercise habits, participants who wrote down their intended workout schedule not only exercised more consistently, but they did so without waiting to feel inspired. Their plan created a predictable trigger for behavior, and the repetition of the action helped reinforce it until it became routine. By giving a habit a specific time and place, you shift the source of action from internal states, which are unreliable, to external cues, which are consistent and dependable. When people fail to follow through on their goals, it is rarely because they lack desire. They want the outcome, improved health, more productivity, or better habits. But desire alone cannot overcome the uncertainty of when and where. Without clarity, each decision to act becomes a mental negotiation. You have to remember your intention, muster enough motivation, and overcome competing distractions. This is exhausting and often leads to postponement or abandonment of the habit. The key insight from research is that this uncertainty can be eliminated by specifying the context of the behavior in advance. A habit like exercising, studying, or meditating is much more likely to happen when the timing and location are predetermined. Creating a clear context also allows you to anticipate and manage obstacles. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes plans are disrupted. The implementation intention framework encourages a backup strategy, often phrased as an "if-then" statement. For example, if I miss my planned workout in the evening, then I will exercise first thing tomorrow morning, or if I can't meditate at 7 a.m., then I will meditate during my lunch break. This approach ensures that unexpected events do not derail your habits entirely. Instead of relying on a fleeting sense of motivation to overcome interruptions, you have a structured plan that adapts to reality while keeping your goals on track. The power of defining when and where a behavior will occur is that it transforms vague intentions into concrete actions. It reduces mental friction, minimizes procrastination, and increases the likelihood of follow-through. Once the behavior is repeated in a specific context, the habit becomes self-reinforcing. The environment cues the action, so you no longer have to debate or negotiate whether to do it. Over time, this predictability turns the behavior into a routine, and consistent routines are what lead to meaningful progress in any goal. Ultimately, giving your habits a defined time and place creates a system that works for you, not against you. Desire and motivation may start the spark, but it is clarity of context that keeps the flame burning. By embedding your actions into the real world through precise timing and location, You remove the reliance on willpower and emotion and dramatically increase the likelihood that your goals will become reality. Success is no longer left to chance, it is designed into the plan. Many people fail to achieve their goals not because they lack motivation but because they leave the details of execution vague. Goals like, I will eat healthier, or I will write more, sound good in theory, but without specifying when and where these actions will happen, they often remain unfulfilled intentions. Research shows that people who create precise plans for implementing their habits are far more likely to follow through than those who rely solely on desire or willpower. The simple act of defining the time and location of a behavior transforms a goal from an abstract aspiration into a concrete, actionable step. When you fail to provide these specifics, each decision to act becomes a negotiation in your mind. You have to remember the goal, summon enough motivation, and overcome competing distractions, which can easily lead to procrastination or abandonment. On the other hand, when the timing and context are predetermined, the behavior is cued automatically. For example, instead of saying, I will exercise more this week, a person might say, I will exercise for 20 minutes on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 p.m. in my living room. That clear structure removes uncertainty, allowing the environment itself to trigger the behavior, and reduces reliance on fleeting emotions or willpower. The power of this approach lies not only in its clarity but also in its adaptability. Life is unpredictable, and unexpected events can disrupt even the most disciplined plans. By using an if-then strategy, you can anticipate obstacles and create a backup plan. For instance, if I cannot exercise this evening because of work, then I will go for a run tomorrow morning. Or, if I skip my meditation session at 7 a.m., then I will meditate during my lunch break. These contingencies maintain consistency even when things do not go as planned. The goal is not to be perfect, but to ensure that the habit continues despite disruptions. This method also reduces the cognitive load required to maintain a habit. When the when and where are clear, you no longer have to make repeated decisions about whether to act. The routine becomes predictable, and repeated execution strengthens the behavior over time. Habits embedded in specific contexts become automatic, meaning you perform them with minimal conscious effort. This predictability and repetition are what allows small, consistent actions to accumulate into meaningful results. Ultimately, the reason so many goals fail is not lack of desire but lack of operational clarity. Motivation may start the spark, but without defining the time and place for action, most people will fail to follow through. By providing a clear structure for your habits, you create an environment that triggers action, minimizes reliance on willpower, and makes consistent progress much more likely. Success is no longer a matter of luck or temporary inspiration. It is built into the plan. A simple, specific framework is all it takes to turn intention into action and transform aspirations into measurable results. Even the best laid plans can encounter obstacles, and most people fail because they are unprepared for the unexpected. Life is unpredictable, and disruptions are inevitable. A scheduled workout can be missed, a study session interrupted, or a meditation session delayed. Many people respond to these interruptions by abandoning their plans entirely, thinking that missing one step ruins the habit. The research on habit implementation shows that this does not have to happen. A key strategy for maintaining progress is planning for disruption in advance, using what is known as an if-then approach. By deciding ahead of time how to respond when things go wrong, you maintain control over your actions and reduce the likelihood of giving up entirely. For example, if you plan to exercise in the evening but your meeting runs late, and then plan could be, if I cannot exercise this evening, then I will go for a run tomorrow morning. Similarly, if you forget to call a family member at the scheduled time, you can plan, if I haven't called by 7 p.m., then I will make the call before I turn on the TV. These small contingencies ensure that setbacks do not break the habit chain. The plan remains in place, and the behavior continues to be performed consistently, even when life interferes. Without this proactive strategy, a single disruption can cause people to rely once again on motivation, which is unreliable and temporary, making follow-through less likely. The beauty of this approach is that it combines clarity with flexibility. You've already defined when and where your habit should occur, and you now define how to respond when obstacles arise. This reduces mental friction, because you no longer need to make a new decision in the heat of the moment. You know exactly what to do, which keeps the habit intact and reduces the risk of procrastination. This method works across many types of goals, whether it's exercise, studying, meditation, or other personal habits. The specificity of the plan removes ambiguity, and the if-then contingencies provide a backup structure to adapt to real-world challenges. By thinking ahead and planning for potential disruptions, you also reduce stress and indecision. Instead of feeling guilty or frustrated when something unexpected happens, you have a clear course of action. The habit continues, and the progress remains steady. This reinforces the behavior and strengthens the likelihood of long-term success. Research consistently shows that people who create these clear, adaptable plans achieve their goals more reliably than those who rely on motivation alone. Ultimately, success is not determined by desire or emotional drive, but by designing a system that works even when life doesn't go perfectly. Anticipating disruptions and planning a specific response ensures that your habits survive setbacks and continue building momentum. Motivation may spark the initial action, but a clear, adaptable plan ensures that you keep moving forward consistently. By embedding contingencies into your habit plan, you create a framework that makes following through far more likely, turning intention into consistent action regardless of unexpected challenges. Achieving your goals consistently is not about rare bursts of motivation or willpower, but about creating a system that works reliably every day. The research shows that the people who succeed in forming habits are those who plan clearly and implement their intentions in a structured way. By deciding in advance exactly when and where you will perform a behavior, you allow your environment to act as a trigger for action. This removes uncertainty and reliance on fluctuating feelings, making it far more likely that your intentions will become observable results. Planning the specifics of a habit gives it a tangible presence in the real world, and repetition gradually transforms these actions into routines that require little conscious effort. Even when life throws unexpected challenges your way, a structured plan allows you to adapt without losing momentum. Using contingencies ensures that setbacks do not derail your progress. For example, if you miss a scheduled workout in the evening, your plan can include going for a run the next morning. If you skip a study session at the intended time, you can make an adjustment without abandoning the habit entirely. The predictability of this system reduces mental friction, eliminates unnecessary decision-making, and strengthens consistency. Success is no longer left to chance, it is designed into the process. Once your habits are embedded in specific contexts and reinforced through repetition, you no longer need to rely on motivation to act. The environment cues the behavior, the plan guides it, and repeated execution turns it into an automatic routine. This is how small, deliberate choices compound over time into meaningful progress. Each consistent action builds momentum and confidence, creating a cycle where following through becomes easier and more natural. This system is the difference between goals that remain aspirations and goals that are actually achieved. As you reflect on your own habits, think about this: how many of your intentions fail simply because you haven't clearly defined when, where, and how to act? It's one thing to want change, but it's another to design it into your daily life with such precision that action almost becomes inevitable. Consider the habits you are trying to build today. Are they tied to specific times and places, or are you still relying on motivation to carry you through? By asking yourself these questions, you can begin to identify the missing link in your own goal-setting process. If you found this approach valuable, hit like so more people can see how simple planning can dramatically improve results. And as you think about your next steps, ask yourself, what is the one habit you keep intending to do but never follow through on because you haven't defined the exact time and place? Share your answer in the comments, because understanding that is the first step toward designing a system that actually works. In the next video, we'll explore how to avoid the second common mistake that stops people from achieving their goals, showing you how to take this planning to the next level and make progress even more predictable.